How is the preparation? What about 5S? Did you work on it?
Yes, I have sent it on WhatsApp group.
Yes, yes, I received from all of you. Okay, guys, shall we start?
Are
Yeah.
there any? Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay.
But are there any other guys remaining?
Yes, they will be coming.
Let's start then.
By the time we can do revision.
Sure. Sure.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. I welcome to all of you in this OSHA 30 hours day 3 course. And yesterday we discussed about health and safety management programs. We also discuss about Walaikum Assalam. We also discuss about working and working and walking and working place. What are the requirements? What are the hazards associated with these? And on first day we discuss about introduction to OSHA. So from today, inshallah, we are going to discuss uh, one of the most detailed topic, which is fire prevention plan, exit routes, and emergency action plan. So it's a lengthy topic, and I hope we will be covering this topic today. And if we will have further time, we will go for electrical safety, which is module 4, and the PPEs, which is module 6. So let's start with the revision of yesterday, what we discussed yesterday. Uh, what about risk assessment? Can anyone give me the definition about risk assessment? Yes, guys, risk assessment.
Risk assessment basically refers to analyzing the risk and make, like making a checklist, observing
Right.
what can be the potential risk in the future and in the present.
Okay, good. And risk, when we talk about risk, we consider probability and severity to calculate the process of risk assessment. Okay, risk is basically depending on two things: that how much is the severity for the action which is going to be take place, or for that accident which is going to be placed, and how much chance is there, right? If something is going to fall on you, for example, you are working on ground and there is a falling hazard, so how much is the chance that it will fall? And if it is going to fall, then how much will be the destruction, right? Could be major injury, minor injury. Remember yesterday we did the exercise for consequences, we call them.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
these
Yes.
both things when combined together, then we call it, we have done the risk assessment. Okay. And could you anyone tell me about the hierarchy of controls? What is the hierarchy of control?
Yeah. First of all, there is an elimination.
Very good.
Then you have substitution and
Very good.
engineering control. After that, administration control, then PPE.
Very good.
Right.
Excellent. Okay. And what about the, what do you call it? Some example of our engineering controls. An example of engineering control.
Engine. Mr.
Yes, 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 yes.
Engineering control, we say like if we have any problem and or safety issues, we can solve it by engineering solution. Like if we have generator have noise, so or any equipment noise, so we can do maintenance or reduce the noise or remove this element, change it, replace it, renew.
Very good. Very good. Excellent.
If I have some machine, for example, this one cutter,
Mm-hmm.
you want this one, it will not because this one they use this one usually every time. So no need to we will use this one hierarchy. So we put some cover so that nobody can make it will not come accident by hand or by something like that. It
Right,
should be
right, right.
cover.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
It's all engineering control.
Very good. What about examples of administrative control?
Administrative control. It
Any
seems
other,
like
any other member?
in excavation, you put some
Right.
cover and you put some signages there.
Okay, good, good.
There, something like that.
Okay,
It could be training, like administrative control can be training
Train the
that
people
personnel
work.
for or having a procedure basically for the threat of that hazard. Or
For
you,
example,
you yeah, like factory workers, uh, you can change their, what you can say, you can train them to how to work on the machine properly.
exactly. Very good, very good. And what about the example of substitution? Yes, guys, any example of substitution?
Yeah, if we don't have Saudi Kaharba, then we can bring generator instead of this to
Very good.
substitute.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Reduce the dangerous.
Yes, yes. When you are working at night, for example, you are working on night, or when you are working on the daytime, right? But early morning, what do you consider this? Is it administrative control or engineering control or what?
Excuse me, Mr. Anas, can you repeat the question
If you
again?
are working, for example, you have to do one activity, you have to do one task,
Okay.
and you are working at the night time. For example, you need to build a road, right? Or you need to maintain a road on highway, and you are working on the night time. So what kind of control is this? Yes, Mr. Rushdi.
just administrative.
Very good. Administrative. When you are taking the risk assessment, when you are taking the permit to work, you are doing the risk assessment. This kind of control is what?
Administrative.
Very good. When you are installing sensor on a machine, have you seen when you go in the mall, in the offices, the door opens by themselves? No need to say khul ja sim sim,
Engineering.
right? So
Yes.
this
Engineering
kind of
control.
control is engineering control.
Engineering control. Yes.
Very good,
Engineering. Engineering.
very good. And then the last control we have is the
PBE.
PPE.
PPE, your favorite PPE, which you don't forget, and even your workers, they don't forget PPE. For me, really, PPE is not the control. Ask me why.
Why?
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 Because PPE is something, when you are going to make the request for PPE in your company, you are going to ask, for example, your procurement department that we need uh, 200 gloves which are cut resistant, right? This procurement department guy, that again, what he is going to do, he will take 3 quotations, and then whoever is going to give the cheapest price is going to purchase from them. Is it? You have the same system
Yeah,
in your company. Most of the company, 90% of the companies,
most
they
of
have.
the companies. Yeah.
Most of the company, Mr. Anas, yes, they go with the least quotation.
Exactly. So when these PPEs, they are going to come in your company, did you check them ever that the cut resistant gloves which you need are really a cut resistant glove? Did you check the
Yes.
helmets, that
Yes.
No.
those helmets which they have brought for you, are they really uh, can save you from some external pressure? Did you check if the boots or the shoes which they are going to purchase for you, they are going to save you, or it's only a cosmetics thing? So unfortunately, most of the time these things does not serve the purpose. Now the blame should not go to the procurement department. The blame we should take on ourselves. Why? Because we don't give them the specification of what we need, right? Nowadays, have you seen there are number of types of masks are available? You have the mask N95 from 3M, you have the mask from a local company N95, and there will be a difference of cost, there will be a difference of quality as well. So whenever we are going to purchase any PPE, we need to give them the full specification. There are standards available for the PPEs which you are going to give them. For example, if the maintenance department, your maintenance engineer, he is going to ask them to bring some bearing, okay, for the machine. So he will write, I need the bearing for 4 inches, right? It must be from SKF company or blah blah company. The full specification is going to write, because he knows that there are number of types available, and if he's not going to give them the full specification, this could be a problem when it comes. So at the same time, what we need to do is to have the system available where we are going to give them all the specification, and then we should expect some good quality, rather than to blame them that you don't bring something good for us, go for the expensive thing. Even if it is expensive, but if it is not going to serve the purpose, it is useless for us. To having the high cost is not the criteria for acceptance. To have the high cost is not the criteria for the safety. To have the specific requirement available is the criteria. And this criteria, you are the one as a safety professional, as a safety engineer, who is going to define, rather than the purchase department, right? Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
Okay. What about the OSHA? What does OSHA say about PPE? Who is responsible for providing PPEs in the company?
Employer.
Employer. Very good. But when employer is responsible to provide the PPEs to their employees, it doesn't mean that employees can ask for any type of PPE. He is going to provide them PPEs free of cost, which are relevant to their work. What does it mean, which are relevant to their work? For example, our friend Abdul Jabbar, he is working in the sales department, where most of the time his job involves to work in the office, right? Or Khwaja Anwaruddin, he works in accounts department, right? Khwaja Anwaruddin, are you working in accounts department, right? Or Nizam, I think Nizam, or you? I'm not
No,
sure.
sir, I am working on site as a civil engineer.
Sorry. Nizam, he is working. So he is working in accounts department, right? Where he doesn't go for the site. He does not involve in any handling of material. He is just going to the office building and he is coming back to his home. So, and they said that, oh, my other colleagues in on site, those people who are working on the production department, they are wearing the caterpillar shoes. So I also need these shoes because it is my right. So now the company has right to say, sorry, we are not going to provide you this shoes. If you want to take these shoes, you have to take by cost, because these are not relevant to your job, right? The same thing OSHA also defined, that those PPEs which are needed for you as a part of your job, which can protect you from the hazards, the organization is going to provide you those PPEs. Even if it is expensive, even it is less expensive, whatever it is, they have to provide. Right?
Right.
Clear?
Right.
Clear.
Any question from yesterday? Yesterday, I have seen that sometimes when we are going to apply the control, we did not mention about elimination, substitution. Most of the time we have come across that about the training, about the awareness session, about the documentation. So it's okay that we are going to apply these kind of controls, but always try to start with the elimination or substitution, so you can have more clear idea. I remember I went one of the company in Jeddah. It's a multinational company, and I personally know that with my experience that most of the companies, uh, they don't like to have the elimination, right, most of the time, unless it is very necessary, especially if it is a part of their production or the operations. Then they will say, sorry, we cannot eliminate it, it's a part of our system. I told them that the same thing in the opening meeting with them when I was assigned to do the risk assessment activity for their whole company, which took around 18 days for one company, right? So, and you have done risk assessment in 15 minutes, right? So
Yes, it
depending on
cannot be.
depending on the size of company and depending on the how much depth you want to go in for the risk assessment, we did their risk assessment. And what I told them, his top management was also there. So I told them that sometimes, companies, they don't go for the elimination thing. Mostly they can be agreed for the engineering controls, administrative controls, PPEs. So the director of the company, he told me, Mr. Anas, please don't expect this from us. We would highly appreciate if you are going to give us the controls which needs elimination and substitution, because we are willing to do this. When we are hiring you as a third party consultant to do this activity, which means that we are committed, and this is a requirement of our global, and your report will go to our head office, and they are going to spend the budget, and this will also give them the idea that how much budget they have to maintain for the safety on every year. Still we have the safety department, but we it's not much organized in terms of financials. Whatever requirement they bring, we are going for it, but we need to organize the safety department like any other department in terms of budget requirement. So mashallah, we did this activity very well with their team. I was involved with their team from every department. We had one of the engineer available, and he gave me the whole information, and we discussed, and alhamdulillah, it was very good activity, and they appreciate. And then they submit this report to the corporate. The corporate people, they like it very much, and they told that the same consultant we need for each company for five days. And they told that but the problem, when they contacted me again, I told them I can't go for 5 days altogether because of my family is here. So these kind of things are happening. Don't expect from the companies that they will not be following the safety. They, most of the time, the companies, they want to follow the safety, but again, remember yesterday we discussed about direct and indirect cost. You need to explain them in their language, right? If you are going to explain them in the technical language of pure safety, then they will not understand your argument, they will not understand your language, and there will be always be a barrier. So those people we have seen that who have done MBAs and they are working in safety department, uh, their team, the way they discuss the things, the way they are communicate the thing, the way they are providing the training, they are much better than those who have done masters in occupational health and safety. So he has all the information, which is technically he is very sound. But uh, when you are working in a company, you no need to have too much technical. You need to have a balanced, so you can take out your things, because every person or every manager is dependent on others as well. Somehow you need some other people to to make sure that your things are going to be moved. For example, if you are working operations department and purchase department is not going to support you, then what will happen? If you are working in operations department and warehouse is not going to provide you space to put your product, then what will happen? So most of the time, your interpersonal skills, the way you are going to communicate the thing, it does a lot. So they are going to change the overall requirements. So yes, guys, any question from yesterday?
Yes, for risk assessment, one question.
Yes, please.
Which safety course is more related to risk assessment?
Which safety?
Courses or certificate?
IOSH. I told you first day. IOSH. It has 7 modules. Out of these 7 modules, 3 modules, I think 4 modules, if you include the control. 4 modules are focusing on hazard identification and risk assessment, classification of hazards, classification of controls, how to do the risk assessment. IOSH especially, I mean, I personally like this course very much because it's a full animated course. There is no need for PowerPoint. It runs live from the portal of IOSH directly. So the learning is very quick and very fast as compared to any other. That's why we put some videos in our courses, so the participant can visualize the things. So in IOSH you will find all the courses animated, and it's a very good course. Apart from risk assessment, accident investigation chapter is there, safety performance measurement is there, another chapter is there, which is these chapters are not the part of IOSH OSHA courses. So inshallah, we will be starting IOSH from 25th of November. If any of you are interested, you can join it, inshallah.
What about Nibush? Also
Nibosh,
cover this topic or no?
Nibosh has risk assessment and Nibosh. They are two alternate names, right? Nibosh has two exams. One exam is for the risk assessment. Like IOSH has two exams, one exam for the risk assessment. So Nibosh has two parts, IGC1 and GC2. GC2 is the whole risk assessment. GC1 is the management of safety. So GC2, it is same like OSHA course, and GC1 is same like IOSH course. Most of the things are like, but in more detail, right?
Yes.
So, yes, guys. Any question?
Yes, Mr. Anas.
Yes.
يعني for the person he is not specialist in safety like us يعني now someone advised me if I يعني I take the OSHA 30 hour, and after that I take it IOH, and the last thing if I want take the Nibosh or like this. But if I go to direct Nibosh IGC3, they ask me to take IGC1 and IGC2, or this two course is equivalent to IGC1 and IGC2.
See, the first thing that make your mind that what level of information do you need, right? If you need, for example, you are machine engineer qualified, right? You have some years of experience.
Yes.
So when you are looking your future in next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, you are looking for a bit higher position as compared to your existing.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So
yes.
Ultimately, you should go. I mean, as if you ask me, if you want to come in the safety field, or even if you don't want to come in safety field, but you need some good position, so you should be multitasking. So go for Nibosh course. But what will happen if you are feeling some temperature, right? And I will give you antibiotic. If you can get Shifa from Panadol, why should I give you the antibiotic?
Yes.
Right? Sometimes you will find these kind of doctors that since you are coming to my clinic, so I should give you some antibiotic, and what will be the effect then? Instead of getting cure, maybe possible you will get more bad condition, right? So when we are doing these kind of courses which are for our professional development, see, there are two kind. Again, I'm taking too much time, sorry, but this needs to be understood for the training purposes. We as a training institute, see, we are commercial, but there is called ethics in business as well, right? Which we need to follow all the time.
Yes.
And if you are asking and you are coming with some reference, so definitely it is our responsibility to guide you whatever the clear is. Risk minallah, we will get, inshallah. We are getting, alhamdulillah, and we will be getting. Everyone is getting. So the thing is, if you want to go on a higher position, you should go for Nibosh. There is no doubt. But there are now two possibilities. One possibility is that I am working in my field, I am getting my salary, but I want to improve further in next upcoming time. So in this case, I will say go step by step. OSHA, IOSH, Nibosh, right? For example, if you have done OSHA already, now go for IOSH, because you are not in hurry. You want to learn, right? You want to learn. You don't want to get fail. You want to get something, so you can apply this for the others, because when you want to go on a higher position, you are going to have the supervisor role, which means that you know everything, right? Maybe safety department will be one of the department who will be under you.
quality department will be under you, safety department will be under you, production department will be under you. So you should go in this manner. On the other hand, there is another person who is jobless. The company told him that this is your last month. Sorry, you can find the job and we will give you the Ikama transferable. So we don't need you. Thank you so much. We are going to reduce our manpower. For this purpose, I would suggest he needed now direct high dose.
Yes, yes.
Why? He does not have chance. He is already on ventilator. Right? But you are not on the ventilator. You are just having some headache. So your problem can be solved with Panadol. But his job is on stake. The person who is jobless, for example, in case of Musa, your brother, he is fresh, young, right?
Yes.
So Musa, he needs the job. So company will ask him, okay, go for if you will do Nibosh, then we will take you. Khalas. So if Musa asks me, I will say, Musa, if you can manage with some hard working, put your all efforts and go for Nibosh. No problem, inshallah. The people who are going to pass the exam, they are also human, not like from alien or any other person.
Yes.
Right. So that's the reason why we are saying always that go step by step, go for IOSH or OSHA, then again next course, and then go for Nibosh. So Nibosh is higher than OSHA and IOSH, but you need a strong. But Nibosh again is high dose. We have seen many people, they are overconfident. They say, oh, I'm very much experienced.
But
For
Nibosh
me, no
IGC,
problem.
Nibosh IGC 1, 2, and 3, it's in one course?
Yes,
Yani
yes.
in one.
Yes. The course name is Nibosh IGC. Before it has 3 parts. Now it has 2 parts, GC1 and GC2, right? GC1 is now from last week. They have announced that it will be online. Like you will be sitting in your home and you can solve the exam. And then they will take your interview, final closing interview after a few days of your exam. Then they will check if you are pass or fail. And GC2 is the risk assessment report, which you are going to write in IOSH as well. So the same report, but again in more technical, right? IOSH, as I told you, is only so you can say it's a practice match, IOSH, and the final match is the Nibosh. So that's why if you've gone through with the IOSH and OSHA, your base is strong. The terminologies which are going to use in Nibosh pattern is not slow, like I'm doing this OSHA very slow, right? Even I feel it is a cost for us. If I'm giving, instead of 3 days, one course, 5 days, it's a cost for us. But why we are doing the initial courses slow? So at least you can have a strong base, and then many of you will go for the second course, or you will go in your company to apply these courses. You will have a foundation, right? But the Nibosh pattern is yalla, surah, very fast, right? Because it is expected by the trainer that those guys who are coming for the Nibosh, they have some background of safety in terms of experience or in terms of knowledge. So those who does not have experience, if they are having knowledge from OSHA and IOSH, so the terminologies which are going to be discussed in Nibosh, you will know, oh yes, we discuss PTW, we discuss arc flash, we discuss ergonomics, we discuss biological hazards in this course, that course. So, but what if you don't have these courses, right?
Yes.
It will be difficult.
Okay.
Always remember, Nibosh, to attend the Nibosh course, it is not a mandatory requirement to have OSHA and IOSH. It's not a requirement. Some institute, they will say like this, so they can sell their many products. But in actual, to attend OSHA and to have OSHA or IOSH, it is not required for Nibosh. It is our recommendation. If you attend, it's good for you. If you don't attend, then don't say that I got failed in my first time. So then I will remind you of what I told you, remember. So because Nibosh is now more on the commercial side, 45 marks are the passing in IGC 1 and 60 marks are the passing in IGC 2. So they are going to fail. We have seen many times the participant, they are going on 43 fail, 44 marks fail. If he gets 45, he will be passed, right? So because Nibosh, they don't want to make their reputation, lesser. If something will remain in demand, right? Why Nibosh is still in demand? I mean, Nibosh is not a new qualification. It is like 12 years now. So still it is in demand because of their this attitude that they fail the people. If you are not going to write what is written in your book, no need for your brain, no need for
Like
your experience.
BMB.
Exactly. They will ask you read the book because this is standard. Don't apply your knowledge. So remember, I told you on the first class that those people who are having less experience, their results in Nibosh are better than those people who are experienced, because you will learn many things from the experience, and his brain is empty. So whatever he is going to read from the book, he will put this information. But when you are working for last 5 years, 6 years, 10 years in a company, you have learned many things from here, from there. You have seen this, you have seen that. So your mind is already full. So if you are going to read the book, it might be possible you will not get the same level of understanding what the fresh mind is getting. Right?
Mm.
So that's the thing.
I would
Guys,
like to add, if I can.
yes, please.
Yes, from judging from my experience, I'm just experiencing this project on my own for the first time, and reading this course for the OSHA and seeing the similarities between what I'm experiencing, it is helpful in both parts. Like I'm getting the knowledge from the book and also the experience, and
Exactly,
whatever
because
they.
you are going to apply these things, and you guys are lucky, those who are already in the field. So every day, what they are learning, they can apply tomorrow. No need
Yes.
to wait for the next job.
Exactly, exactly.
Exactly, very good. And even see, I will tell you one more thing about OSHA. See, OSHA, as I told you, OSHA is less higher than Nibosh, but OSHA demand is still there because Aramco follows American standard. All their contractors, they follow American. Aramco, Sabeg, Yansab, Yasraf, they all follow American standard. So the demand for OSHA is still there. Otherwise, it should be happen that when Nibosh came, so no need for OSHA. It's not like the case. Many people, wallahi, many people I know personally, I trained them. They have attended the Nibosh. They come back after 6 months. They say we need OSHA course. You need OSHA course. You have done Nibosh. It's same thing
Like
that
me.
someone has done the MBBS and he is saying that I want to go for the bachelor's again. So because why the Nibosh UK based standard, it has its own demand. But when we are working in industries, the industries are following American standard. Nibosh you need only for the purpose of your title, for to make your CV one more star. But Nibosh, you are not going to apply in industry. 70% of industry in the kingdom, they are following American standard. So that's why you should know American standard much better than UK based standard. Nibosh is a UK based qualification. But since it is more difficult, so companies, they make the benchmark that if we are hiring a safety engineer, then he must be a Nibosh. Right? Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
Any question, guys? Okay. Let's start with our one of the longest chapters for today. It's exit route, fire, and FPP. FPP is the fire prevention plan, and also there is one more topic which is included in it. It's the emergency action plan, EAP, and then FPP. This is our module 4. What is exit? What is exit? We should understand about exit. Exit, in our language, we call it emergency exit, right? In OSHA, they use the word exit for emergency exit. So don't confuse with exit or emergency exit. Whenever you will find the word exit, it means that emergency exit. And exit is a continuous and unobstructed path, which is mainly consists of 3 portions. One part is the exit axis. Exit axis is the way which you are going to take to reach up to your emergency exit. For example, have you seen there are walkways available? So if you are going on the walkway, you will be going towards outside of the company, or you are going towards emergency exit. So the first part of exit is exit axis. The second part is the exit discharge, and the third part is the exit itself, the door of the exit. So exit discharge is the route, is the part of exit route that leads directly open outside after the exit. Have you seen, maybe you have felt this or no, but I have experienced sometime that when we are going in any of the company for the audit person purpose, and if we are going to open the door of emergency exit, right? So the production department or the warehouse is above the ground, right? And when you open the emergency exit, there is no such stair, so you have to jump, which is another hazard. Because in case of emergency, when you will be rushing towards emergency exit, and when you open the emergency exit, there is like 4 feet or 3 feet height, so you have to jump from this exit to go to the assembly point or the muster point. So this will be another problem. So emergency exit or exit discharge is the area which is outside. The difference between exit and exit discharge: when we are at exit, we are unsafe; when we are at exit discharge, we are safe, right? This is the area, or this is the portion which makes the difference between safe and unsafe. Because when you are inside, which means you are under the emergency now. Maybe there is a fire, there is a gas leakage, there is some other kind of emergencies. And when you are at emergency exit discharge, which means that now you are safe because you are outside of emergency. Maybe you are at emergency assembly point, maybe you are on the road, maybe you are in an open ground, maybe you are in the car parking in the open ground. So emergency exit or emergency or normal exit, it consists of three parts: exit axis, which is the path or the area from where you are going towards emergency exit, and then exit itself, which is the door itself, right? There are certain requirements for exit access, there are certain requirements for exit door, and there are certain requirements for exit discharge. So when you are going outside, what should be it looks like, right? What is the area? So we are going to discuss these things in this module. So as required by OSHA, there must be two exit routes available, right? Normal situations in our at our workplace, there should be two emergency exit or two exits should be available. One could be used as a normal exit and the other could be declared as emergency exit, right? So in case of emergency, we will be using. But if your occupancy, which means number of people who are living or working in an area, these are lesser, then in this case, even one emergency exit is okay, right? If depending on the occupancy, if the people are less, for example, less than 50, okay, then in this case, even one emergency exit is also, one exit is also okay, because they can go, for example, there is a big hall where you have workstations available, right? And these workstations are not much, so there are not much people who are working. So in this case, even one exit is acceptable. But by default, it should be two exits. One should be the normal exit and one should be the emergency exit. Always remember, there is another standard called NFPA, National Fire Protection Association. Like OSHA, this is another platform of NFPA, which are dealing with fire and electrical safety, right? NFPA is also an agency of America who are dealing with fire and emergency. So this NFPA, they have their own standard. The good thing about NFPA, like our Difal Mandi is dealing with fire, right? NFPA in America is dealing with fire. So, but the good thing which we have observed in NFPA and OSHA, that they don't overlap on each other. We have seen when you have the same requirements from different standards, sometimes they are going to overlap each other. But OSHA, whenever there will be requirements for fire and life safety, they will say follow NFPA codes. And NFPA, when they are describing something in their code which are relevant to fire and electrical safety, they are going to say about occupational health, go for OSHA standards, which is very good. I mean, they respect each other's qualifications. Otherwise, sometimes the standards are going to be mixed, right? They get overlap. So, clear?
Clear.
The buildings are required to maintain free and unobstructed. Free, if you can see this picture, the door should not be locked. Have you seen in your company that most of the time the warehouse emergency exit is blocked? Most of the time the production department emergency exit is blocked. Sometime with the pallet, sometime with the trolley, sometime with the forklift, sometime with the cartons. And when you ask them, they will say, "Sir, we have just brought it. It is here for temporary, and after 10 minutes we will take it and put it on the place." So this is a crime. To block emergency exit, it's a crime, right? There are two types, Saghira and Kabira. So this is Kabira. So this problem.
So, sir,
Yes, yes, please.
what should we do if we see such a crime, like a blockage of emergency exits? What should we do?
If you will not do anything, the file bandi will see, they will give 35,000 real chalan, which is equivalent to 3 months salary of a safety officer, right?
Yes, Mr. Anas.
If you don't have the, sorry, if you don't have the authority to stop it, if you don't have the authority to remove it, just write in make it in writing that this is the area. That's why, have you seen many of the safety officers, they have camera in their hands all the time, so they are taking the picture, tick 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 tick, and then they come office and email, "This is the observations for today, please rectify them as soon as possible." But this kind of things, others, you those things which can affect on the emergency problems, which can be a problem during the emergency, these are considered as crime, right? Yes, Ibrahim.
Yes, and also before maybe few times here in Saudi Arabia, we have big accident happen in hospital in Jizan because they closed the exit this exit port this for emergency by steel and like this, and a lot of people die. And also the Saudi government, they make a lot of punishment to them because they do this crime, like you see.
Exactly, exactly. Because there are few places where you can lock the emergency exit, right? Uh, but when it comes to lock of emergency exit, I used to go in many companies for the audit. For example, textile companies, most of the time, where they have the, too many machines, small machines are there, and maybe 250 or 200 people are working on machinery. They are doing the stitching for Nike, IKEA, Walmart, and they are making the footballs, something like these things. So they are working on a small machines there, and there's too much manpower. So I used to go, and when I asked them why you have make the emergency exit lock, they say that our people, they go out from emergency exit and they make smoking and then they come back. So these kind of arguments are not acceptable in case of this.
Right.
But now in the modern, with the technology, if you are going to open the emergency exit, there will be siren, right? Toon, 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 so everyone will know. So now you can adopt this kind of control rather than to lock the emergency exit. Emergency exit cannot be locked. Only it can be locked in mental panel or corrective institutions or jail, right? If the jail lockup is going to have open emergency exit, then what will happen? All the prisoners will go out from this Briman, right? So if the mental hospital, they don't lock the emergency exit, then have you seen those who are having drug addict or those who are having the treatment of mental problems, they get too much force from where, I don't know, I mean, some ghaib, they get too much force. They can they can make, sometimes they can broke the chains, they can broke the ropes, whatever they can, alone he can fight with 4 or 5 people. Right? So in these areas, you can lock the emergency exit, but as required by OSHA standard, the key shall always be available to the duty officer who is available there, right? And if you are going to lock, but other than these area, emergency exit shall not be locked. There are some other requirements of emergency exit which we are going to discuss in next slides. Yes, any question?
No question, but I would like to add an example
Yes,
that
please.
happened to my friends in China. They were basically in an apartment, and there was a fire that broke out in the top floor. So the smoke was a lot, and eventually they could not find the exit signs, and they had to duck, and then they found the stairway going down from the apartment. So
Exactly.
if they'd, like, okay, they saw, they had some common knowledge that okay, there are some exit signs and these things, that's how they found out. Otherwise, the apartment's owner, they did not care about these things.
Exactly. Yeah. And have you seen now there are a lot of fire accident even in Ramadan there was a fire incident in UAE, Dubai, in hotel apartment.
Yes,
So
yes.
in Medina we have in past years in Makkah, Medina hotels we have some cases of fire. So that's why now the if you see the Defile Mandi has make the new regulation for the hotels that their emergency stairs will be from outside of the hotel. Before it used to be from inside, but now since last 3 years they make the regulation that the emergency stairs on high-rise buildings will always be from outside. So you will find many hotels they have made this steel case stairs, and these are coming from outside. Even it can affect their design and beautification, but it's a law, so they have to comply, and it's a very good thing. So at least the people who can go outside directly rather than, because sometimes the hotels are very congested from inside. From very small place they have made 10 floors, 15 floors. So instead of going stuck inside, if they are using those stairs of emergency exits which are going directly to outside, it is much better and more safer. Right? Exit discharge may lead directly to the outside to the street, walkway, refuge area, public way, or open space wherever is possible. The thing is that when you are on emergency discharge, you should feel that I am safe. Right? Exit maintenance. Every required exit way to approach there too may the way of travel from the exit into the street or open space shall be continuously maintained. Can you see this picture? Shall be continuously maintained. No stuff, no cartons, no pallets, no any other. Sometimes you will find plants in near the emergency exit. So for the beautification, because they think that nobody will come to emergency exit, so this is the right place to keep our cartons and all old files and stocks, these kind of things. So these are all not allowed with emergency exit. Side hinge door, which can be opened from from inside, as required by our own defiled Muslim kingdom. It is a mandatory requirement now for the emergency exit. You need to install these kind of doors, right? Whenever you are having 50 or more than 50 employees, then in this case you need to have the door which can always be open from outside. Have you seen push bar door? You can see in the picture, push bar door. So these kind of doors they can open from inside, but nobody can open them from outside. So it is a necessary requirement to have these kind of doors. Then exit route must support the maximum permitted occupant load for floor serve, for each floor serve. For example, the exit route is very wide and our exit is very small, or the exit there are a lot of people who are who are available in the company or who are available in the hotels, but the route to reach the emergency exit is very narrow, is very thin, so the people cannot reach easily. So that's why OSHA standard requires you to have your support. For example, if you have more support, so the more your emergency exit route should be. So the people who are coming down, they want to go outside, they can go easily, right, from each floor. And more for, as I told you, for fire, you are going to discuss more in NFPA standards, not in the OSHA standards. OSHA just give you some basic guidelines, and the technicalities, what should be the technical requirements, it is being discussed in NFPA standards. The capacity of exit route may not be decreased in direction of exit travel. Sometimes what happened, your exit route is very broad, but your exit door is very thin. So what will happen, that the people will come
and they will get stuck, like what we call it, bottleneck. So in the bottle,
Bottlenecking.
right, there are a lot of space, but when they want to go out, they want to get discharged, it's not possible easily. So that's why the capacity of exit route should be meeting the your exit discharge. Minimum the ceiling at least 6 feet, 7 inch, 6 inch, 7 feet and 6 inch high. You can see that the ceiling, and any projection from the ceiling not lower than the 6 feet 8 inch. When you are coming out of exit route, right, at every point it should be 7.5 feet, so you can go there. And the size of your emergency exit door will be 6 feet 8 inch, right? What will be the size? 6 feet
6 feet high, 8 inch.
8 inch. And the axis itself should be minimum 7 feet and 7.5 feet. Clear?
Anas, can you repeat it again, please?
Simple. See, can you see my pointer?
Yes.
If you are coming from here, this is your room. This is your
Yes.
first floor. You are going down, right?
Yes.
So at any step between you,
7.5.
this step and up to the your roof must be 7.5.
Okay.
The size of emergency exit, right? This size of emergency exit should be minimum 6 feet and 8 inches. So you can go easily, because in America the people are like 6 feet, more than 6 feet, not like us, small. So that's why we need to have 6 feet 8 inches. Clear?
Clear.
Okay.
Clear.
Another, again, the same thing, that any object shall not be available when you are dealing with emergency exit. For example, they have defined that this is our route for emergency, right? This is our route for emergency. So here, what is it? These things should not be there, right? This should not be there. Sometime any other things should not be there. So whenever we are going to define exit routes, this must be clarity there. This area must be clear. Your exit route should not be near to the combustible material. You should not keep combustible material near to the exit route, because why? It might be possible that the fire will be starting in the combustible material. So if your exit is here and your combustible material is also very close to it, so how you are going to reach to emergency exit, right? If there is a fire, you cannot go to emergency exit, right? So that's why emergency exit, you should not keep or store the hazardous material, flammable material, near to the emergency exit. It must be from a bit away from each other. So in case of fire, the people can go out from the emergency exit. Exit route adequately lighted, must be lighting as required, again as required by the Fal Madni. There must be a self-operated light, right? Self-operated light does not depend on Saudi Kaharba, must be independent. For example, battery operated, right? For example, charging. Have you seen sometimes we have charging? There is
Yes.
a red light going on in the emergency lightning because it is charging at that. When you take out the plug, this emergency light will be open, right? If you want to check. So it should have self-supporting lighting. Exit sign must be clear. Maybe you have the Yom al Watni, and due to Yom al Watni, you make all the celebrations and you hide the sign of emergency exit. Now people who are in the hotel or now people who are in the company, they don't know where is emergency exit, right? So it should be free of decoration. The sign should be clear. In case when you see in the production department, I used to go in many companies, their production department, where they have the big machines, they have the tanks available on the production hall, especially like food companies, pharmaceutical companies. So the emergency exit is not clear. If you are standing at one point, it might be possible that you cannot see the emergency exit directly. You cannot see the route even. So in this case, you need to install the signages. Where is the direction? Have you seen that the companies, they have emergency exit on right side, emergency exit on left side? They used to install these kind of exit signs. It might also be possible when your company was established, at that time you have less people, and when after 5 years, 6 year, when the business it started more, to be spread, and the company started hiring more people. So one of the emergency exit, which used to be an emergency exit, now after the renovation work, the company says that this is not our emergency exit. Now we have another emergency exit, right? We have new emergency exit. So in this case, those people who are working in the company for last couple of years, in their back of the mind, this is the emergency exit. So whenever there will be any emergency, they will go there to the old emergency exit. So we need to clearly make sure there should be a clear written notice that this is not an emergency exit route. You should go to left or right wherever it is there is a new emergency exit route, right? To avoid any confusion. Emergency exits sign must be illuminated. This sign must be illuminated and to a surface of minimum 54 lux by a reliable light source. See, reliable light source. What does it mean? Which means that should not depend on Saudi Kaharba. If Saudi Kaharba will go, always
UPS.
remember, yes, UPS could be one of the reliable source.
Rechargeable.
Self-operated, rechargeable, self-operated, battery operated, right? So always remember, when we are dealing with emergency, we always minus electricity. What will happen? Now suppose the case when there is a fire in your company, right? And if there is still electricity is working, there will be more losses as compared to if there is no electricity, right? Because of the electrical problems, when you are going to start putting water on by the means of hydrant, and if there is electricity, then what will happen? There
Electrical
will be
shock.
more disaster. Yes. So always remember, whenever there is an emergency situation, when we consider minus electricity, right? Now what is your control? Sometimes they will say, see, we have corridor available, lot of lights are available here to reach the emergency exit. So tell them, what in case of there is no light? What if you will get the fire in your main electrical panel? There is no electricity, right? If the panel which is providing the overall company electricity, if this panel become out of order, if this panel will get fire, then what will happen? How you are going to provide the lighting? So in this kind of cases, that's why we need to have some lights available to emergency access and to the exit itself and to the exit discharge. So at least the people who are working in the companies, especially those companies which involve 24 hours of shift where you have the night shift available, so they can go or they can evacuate easily from the emergency exit, right? And this exit sign should be plain, and you can use the letter thickness by 3 by 4 inch, like not too much bold and not too much wide. The letter thickness could be 3 by 4 inch. Now another thing important, which is also you will feel this as a practical, the construction of exit itself. Before we were discussing about exit access, right? How you are going to reach to exit access. But now what about the exit itself? What should be the material of exit? Can we use a normal wooden door for purpose of emergency exit? Can we use the steel door for the emergency exit? Now, when you are going to install emergency exit in your company and you will contact some contractor for this purpose, he will ask you this question, that for how much time you need the heat resistant or fire resistant. So when you are using the emergency exit door, it must be fire resistant. And if your building is connected with up to 3 floors, for example, ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor, then in this case 1 hour of fire resistance is necessary. For example, if there is a fire near the emergency exit, at least 1 hour it should survive. And if you are working in a company or you are working in a hotel or building, even if it is accommodation building, then must be minimum 2 hours. For the 4 and more floors must be 2 hours of fire resistance. So this is a very important point when you are installing the emergency exit, because it depends
on the requirement of OSHA, that how much time you need to have. And this is the question when your vendor, when you're going to ask him, please send the quotation for emergency exit, he will ask you to how much time you need the fire resistance, 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour, whatever it is. Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
Now you will see that after understanding this module especially, what do you feel that when is the best time to apply OSHA standard in the companies?
In which place? Yani, or what?
Best time when you can apply these standard in your company.
In the beginning, before they start and before they do anything, from the beginning. And if I do new building from the beginning.
Okay, good.
Right.
From the construction step.
Yes.
Sorry?
From the construction step.
Very good. Yes, doctor, what do you think? Yes, Mr. Khaja.
I think during planning for constructing a building, they need to plan for all fire exits, emergency exits, and all those things.
जी नईम साहब, क्या हाल है, खैरियत से?
Ji sir, thank you very much. So every time is the best time for the safety. Safety doesn't need any time. Every time we should follow the safety.
No, every time we should follow the safety, but which is the most appropriate time when we can, as one of our
during the planning. During the planning, we should start the planning for this one.
Exactly. See, when you are going to not only the planning, before the planning, there is designing step when the building is going to be designed.
Yes.
Right? I remember I gave you the example of my cousin who is in United States. He is a structural engineer, and he is doing the OSHA courses because he doesn't go to the site. He is not the site engineer or site manager. He is not the architecture engineer. He is a structural engineer. Okay. First, the requirement comes to architecture that I need the home like this, I need the building like this, and then it goes to the structural engineer who is going to materialize that how it will be look like, right, in terms of the overall structure. He told that I have to do many OSHA courses because this is needed as a part of my work.
Right.
His company, they are the mashallah, very good. He's managing the company from his own, and they are involved in the structural engineering for many buildings, high-rise buildings. Even in Kingdom, they did a lot of projects in UAE also. So, what does it mean? That these OSHA standards are the best time to apply when you are in the designing phase, because once you are constructed the company and the company is going to start the safety after that, khalas, you are very late now. Now just imagine if you ask your general manager that my emergency door is like 5.5 feet in height, which does not meet the requirement of OSHA or our Difal Matni. I need to make it 6.5. So what will he say? He'll say, gentlemen, don't touch this emergency exit. It is a new building. It's a new constructed building. Even we are not allowed to have a small, needle or a small kind of any installation in this building. Right? The same is the case. So he will say that instead of making my building design change, I can make my safety manager change. Right?
Right.
So these kind of things are common. Once you have the company, it's already late now. And that's why I will give you one important information. That's why our Difal Matni, they have now made the regulation that they are not going to approve your building unless it will be verified by NFPA certified engineer.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So when you will take your building design to Difal Matni before starting, because once your map is going to be passed, then you can start the construction. Huh? So when you will take your design to the Difal Matni, they will see if it is being signed and approved by the NFPA inspector or no. NFPA certified inspector. I mean, in Jubail, in Kingdom, we have in Jubail Industrial College, they are the one who are authorized to deliver NFPA courses. We have tried to bring NFPA to our institute, but they were asking too much money for the courses, so that's why we left it. So in Kingdom, there is only Jubail Industrial College who are delivering the NFPA fire safety courses, fire engineering courses, and it's like 5 days course. One course like 8,000 real, 7.5 thousand real, something like that. It's 5 days course and then examination. Now people in Difal Mandi, they take this course, right? Clear? Shall we take the break for 5 minutes,
Clear.
10 minutes for Salah, and then we will continue?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Yes, guys, available? So any question in emergency exit?
Yes, available. Yes, we are here.
Good. Okay. So the summary for emergency exit. The first thing is, what is an exit? Exit is the path which contains three parts: exit access, exit itself, and exit discharge. Exit exists, or exit access, or exit discharge, or exit itself. Whatever is the part, we need to have always, it should be free from any kind of destruction. It shall be unobstructed, right? Then we discuss about what should be the size of emergency exit. The size of emergency exit in height should be 6.8 feet, and the access to the emergency exit should be minimum 7.5 feet. Then we discuss that up to how many people we need to have one exit. So up to 50 people, we can have one emergency exit, but depending on the occupation, depending on the
How many people, Mister?
sorry,
How many people?
50 minimum,
Okay.
right? But it also depends on the occupancy. If the size is small or the hall is small, for example, in one room you have 50 people, then one door is not enough. You need to have more door, depending on the size of occupancy, how many people are working, and what is the size of area. So the thing is that everyone should go out easily in case of emergency exit. Then we discuss about that emergency exit, it must be open outside. It shall not be locked or fastened. And in case of mental hospital or the recreational institutions or the jails, this can be locked, but keys must be available with the area, the shift or duty supervisor at all the time. So in case of any emergency, they can unlock it and make the evacuation. Then we discuss about the fire resistant capability. The fire resistant, if your building has up to 3 floors, then one hour of fire resistant capability is enough. But if your building has four or
1
more
hour.
floors, yes, then for in case of four or more, then we need to have minimum 2 hours of fire resistance available. When we discuss about emergency exit, we need to focus always that we should be very practical, because sometimes you will hear this kind of comments from the people from the different departments that this emergency exit, we are having emergency exit lock due to that our people, they will go outside and they will hide, and they are not following the uh, work time. Sometimes you will hear that they will say that uh, we are using emergency, we are blocking or locking the emergency exit because our janitorial staff, they used to go outside and they are wasting the time. So these, and sometimes they will say that the material has just arrived, so that's why we have kept in front of emergency exit, but after some time it will be removed from there. So these kind of excuses are not acceptable in terms of if the fire exit is blocked, if the firefighting equipment is blocked, this comes under the category of crime. It shall not be allowed, it should not be permissible by any of your company authorities. Clear?
Clear.
Okay, very good.
Can you hear?
Now our next topic is about emergency action plan. What is emergency action plan? Emergency action plan is the plan which you are going to mitigate the emergency. When we are working in the companies, emergencies are possible. Remember yesterday we also discussed that when we are working in the companies, so accidents are possible. So when this accident become uncontrolled, it comes under the category of emergency. So emergency, to handle the emergency situation, we need to have, as required by OSHA, we need to have the emergency action plan available. So emergency action plan is to organize employer to action. It is an action plan which is needed for the employer
which contains 4 parts, right? The emergency action plan contains 4 parts: planning and emergency action plan, then prepare, respond, and resume, right? Emergency action plan, then prepare, then respond, and resume. What are these things? The first thing what you need to do as a safety in charge or as a safety manager or the safety engineer of the company, that you need to identify all possible emergencies which are applicable to you. What could be the possible emergencies in the company? For example, in construction. Yes, Ibrahim. Possible types of emergencies.
Yes, possible times of emergencies, like يعني in happening Bin Laden, like crane happen, fire,
Very good. Fire. Yes, bus.
explosion.
Yes.
Cylinder
Marwan.
blast.
Cylinder blast. Okay. Nizam. Yes, Khwaja. Yes, Atif.
It's like fallout from
Fire.
scaffoldings
Collapse,
and
sir.
heights.
Okay, very good. Falling from height. Yes.
And
Bas. Atif.
Fire.
Fire
Sir,
is
wall
a very
collapse.
common. Very good. What about leakage, gas leakage, explosion, bomb threat, right? Floods. Those areas which are near to the sea or near to the river, they can have the flood, right? Tornadoes, adverse weather. Those who are living in Tabuk, they feel adverse weather many times in a year. So the first thing what we need to do, we need to identify the possible emergencies which are applicable to our scope of work. I went in one of the food company in Riyadh, and I was looking to their documents, and I told them, oh, it's very good document, very detailed document. And when I asked something, that guy who was available there, he told me, no, I don't know, sorry about that. Oh, it's written here. Oh, sorry, I don't know. So at the end of my activity, I asked him, from where you have taken these documents, or who developed this document? He told that actually one of my friend is in Petro Rabigh, so we just copy paste those documents and just change the logo. So this Petro Rabigh has the emergency of H2S gas, which is not available in food company. This Petro Rabigh has the emergency. There are a number of other emergencies are possible in Petro Rabigh, which are impossible in the food company. So always remember that we will be making our emergency action plan according to our need. We will be, it is not a copy paste thing. It should be a very practical, because this is something which is a very sensitive, because the use for this emergency action plan is not in the normal condition. You know, the use of the emergency action plan is not in the normal condition. It will be coming in a very sensitive position, in a very sensitive condition. So your emergency action plan should be very practical. So the first step is to identify possible emergencies, and then to start applying, to develop the plan for these emergencies. And how to plan these emergencies, who are the responsible persons, how we are going to announce that this is an emergency, how the people are going to make the evacuation for this emergency, who will be the firefighting team, who will be the rescue team, who will be the first aid team, who will be the emergency commander, right? So these are all we need to have in our emergency action plan. And then very important that once we are going to reach the emergency assembly point, who is going to announce that now the emergency is over? Okay, now the emergency is over, now you can go to your work again, no problem. So these are all the necessary parts of our emergency action plan. This emergency action plan, if you have 10 or more than 10 employees available in the company, you need to have the documented. But if you have less than 10 employees, then no problem, you can communicate them verbally. No need for the documentation, no documentation as required by OSHA. But I would suggest that you must have the documented emergency action plan, and it must be communicated to employees on the very first day before they will go to the work. This should be the part of your safety induction program. This should be the part of your toolbox talk. So time to time you need to make it awareness. Revise it, so the people, they will get to know that what kind of where we need to do, what we need to do in case of emergency. Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
And sometimes, some of the emergencies are common, like fire is one of the common emergency. You will find it everywhere, this potential of emergency. Similarly, then when we need to do the drill, what is the requirement for the drill? As required by our Difal Madni in Kingdom, we need to have at least once in a year the full evacuation drill, right? We need to have at least one evacuation drill in 1 year. It is a requirement in our Difal Madni. So your whole company should be evacuated. They should reach to the assembly point, and then they are going to have the roll count. What do you call it? Roll count or head count. Head count is how many people have come today and how many people are available now. It might be possible that you don't know how many people have arrived today. Most of the companies, when they had the registered system on the gate, it was easier to manage this activity of head count. But now every company, they have basma, or card, tini, right? Many people, they come, they don't know how many people are coming. In case of this emergency situation, sometimes this software which takes all the database from basma is in HR department or in the admin department, and that computer is locked, right? Or they are not be able to take out this list in minutes, in seconds. You have to take out this list so you can make the head count. Maybe there are today 105 people have arrived. When you see them physical counting, there are 100 people only. So where are these 5 people? It might be possible they are stuck in the emergency, right? Sometimes we have seen that the companies, they don't keep the record of visitors. They say, oh, he used to come on daily basis, no problem. Allah, he's Siddiq of our security guard. Every time they know, yes, salam alaikum, kefal, yalla, khalas, go. And in case of emergency, that person is inside the company. He doesn't know that he has to reach at assembly point. So where is he? Who will be the responsible? That visitor or the company?
No, the company.
Very good. Whenever anyone is coming,
Company.
entering into the boundary of company, it is now company responsible. If he is a visitor, he is a contractor, he is a supplier, he is a truck driver who will come with his trawler, and after some time he will go back. What we have seen, that when the companies are making emergency drills, evacuation drills, these truck drivers, they have headphone and they are sleeping. They don't know what to do. They don't listen the alarm sound. There are some labor who are temporary labor. They don't have awareness what to do in case of this. Another problem comes, sometimes the companies, they have the alarm system for tea time, alarm system for lunch break, alarm system for end of the shift. So in this case, they are using the same kind of alarm which is being used for the emergency purpose. So if they are having like for the tea break or for the end of shift, so when it will be a real emergency and they are going to have more, the people will be thinking that it is tea break. Jalla, I'm not going to have tea today. So these kind of issues are common. So that's why we need
We have to have 2 rings, right?
Yes. It doesn't mean that you need to have 2 rings or 3 rings. Maybe you don't need the ring for your tea time. Maybe you don't need the ring for the lunch time. It is already communicated to the people and the people following their requirements. Or sometimes we have seen that the companies, they have the mic system. They announce, right, after 5 minutes lunch break, 5 minutes remaining for lunch break. So people, they get alert that we have to start the shift. So emergency alarm should be a unique sound, right? And people should know that this is our emergency alarm. Another thing we have seen sometimes in case of emergency, that the people who are responsible for emergency team, for example, rescue team, firefighting team, they don't know that what is their role. The company has put the picture of, for example, engineer Ibrahim, engineer Musa, engineer Isa, all the company has nominated them as their emergency response team. In case of fire, he is the first person who is going out of the company. I did many interviews, right? For example, I've seen that on the page, on notice board in a department, they say that he is our firefighter, he's When I ask, okay, how is firefighter? We make training for him. Okay, very good. When I went to him for the interview, that worker, I asked him, okay, in case of fire, what will you do? Oh, sir, I will go to the assembly point. Okay, thank you so much. So the others will die, right? When you will go to the assembly point. So sometimes these are fake records, right? They make for the purpose of audit, they make for the purpose of the file monthly, because these are the requirements of civil defense. So we need to check these things. As I told you, these must be very practical, must be truth. So in case of emergency, you are putting someone in rescue team who has fear with the darkness. He cannot go in the dark. You are putting someone in the rescue team who has the fear with the height. Sometimes the people, they have height phobia. Sometimes the people, they have dark phobia, right? So
Old man.
old man, disabled man, the person who does not listen clearly, you are going to put him in the emergency team. What will he do? He doesn't know that there is alarm ringing in his ear. So we need to work on it. Then we should announce that who will be our team. We need to discuss with them their physical health, their their fears, these kind of things. We should discuss with them. Sometimes Dr. Moaz, if he is available, he made the training for first aid to the people. When the girls, they see the blood, they get unconscious. Right?
Exactly.
And on the notice board, it is written that Miss Asma is our first aider. When Miss Asma, she used to see the blood, she get unconscious. So I went in one of the company in here in Kingdom in Jeddah. It was a pharmaceutical company. I asked them in the female department to have very heavy trolleys for the fire. I asked, and very 10 kilo, 12 kilos of fire extinguisher. I asked them, okay, who is your firefighting team? They said, this lady is our fire. MashaAllah, good. So I asked her, what will you do in case of fire? She told, I will take fire extinguisher and I will start. I told, very good, MashaAllah. I told, can you do it now? When she started taking fire extinguisher, she was not be able to handle fire extinguisher even.
It seems the first time for her, right, Mr. Anas?
Even it's not the first time, but the thing, we need to see the physique of the people who are working in this area. What do you expect if she will be taking 20 liter of trolley as a woman and she will be going to the firefighting? You must be practical. She can
Common sense.
take 5 kilo, 6 kilo, it's okay. But with this kind of thing, it's impractical. So we need to work on these things. We need to be very practical. And that's why many companies who are getting grama from Mudan or from the fire company, they always get the grama on these things, emergency things, right? Because there is no compromise, zero tolerance in case of emergency. On other things, you can compromise. If there is no safety policy available, mafi mushkil. If there is no risk assessment available, no problem, you can do it. Although it is very necessary backbone of the company to do the risk assessment. But when it comes to emergency, khalas, this is the first priority. That's why the file Madni asks to have a contract available with a third party who will come to your company and they will be looking the fire extinguishers, fire hydrant on monthly basis. It is a mandatory requirement for the file Madni, because they know that the people in the company, it might be possible they will forget, they are very busy. So they make the requirement that third party should do this inspection, right?
Right.
Clear? Very good. You can see this is one of the example of a simple emergency action plan. This emergency action plan, where you are going to write emergency numbers, what to do in case of fire, where is the evacuation route, where is the assembly points, what is the legends, right? So we need to have this kind of emergency action plan available in almost all of our department and the prominent places. So the people who are working in the company, they should well aware that. And apart from these things, we need to make the awareness again and again. Every quarter, make it your, part of your training program, that you need to provide them awareness for emergency evacuation or how to act in case of different emergencies. Maybe one time make the drill for fire, second time make the drill for chemical handling, third time make the drill for gas leakage, one time make the drill for electrical safety emergency, then make the drill for crane. For example, when I was working on a steel industry, we used to produce the coils, 50 tons coil, 25 tons coil going from one place to another. So what to do in case of if coil is going to fall on someone, or not only on someone, it is going to fall. So this is an emergency. What will happen, for example, those who are working in powerhouses, in, for example, Yambu power plant in Tahliya, those people who are working in, so there is a possibility of emergency electrical, right? So
Yes.
we need to identify all possible emergencies, then develop the plan for each emergency, define the roles, and then practice this plan. Practice this plan. And you need to develop the report, you need to keep the record, because every time when you are making the drill report, you will find that there is some weakness as per your plan. So maybe your plan needs to be improved, or the actual scenario which needs to be improved. Sometimes you will find that people will not evacuate. Many times this is one of the challenge, that the people they don't take it serious. They thought that it's a false alarm, right? So they are not going to evacuate. So this is one of the important part, to have emergency evacuation plan available as required by OSHA. Any question?
No.
Nafi mushkil?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, very good. Now this is an additional thing which is not in your book, just for your information. Assembly point. We have assembly point in oil and gas, on construction projects. We used to say muster point, right? In other companies, other places, we used to say assembly point. Assembly point is the point where you are going to gather in case of emergency, in case of evacuation, right? Whenever you are going to evacuate, you will be coming into some assembly point. Always remember, it is not a necessary requirement to have one assembly point. You can have more than one assembly point, but those people who are working in the area, they should know that on which assembly point they have to reach. For example, sometimes have you seen that the project sites are very big, the refineries are very big, so not necessary that inside the refinery, if you go to Petro Rabek, if you go to Aramco, I went last time Jizan refinery of Aramco. So without car, you cannot travel inside the refinery. So it's a very, mashallah, it's very large. So the people who are working in different departments in different areas, they should know that where they have to reach in case of emergency, where is their assembly point. So you can have more than assembly point. The main thing, when we are going to design the assembly point, it is also very necessary. You cannot place everywhere that this is our assembly point. We need to see, the main important thing is we need to see the direction of wind direction, air direction. Then we need to announce our emergency or assembly point, because why? It might be possible that your air is going from north to south, and your assembly point is also towards south, right? So in this case, what will happen, that whole the gas or the fire flames will also come to near to the assembly point.
You have to put it far away from danger, right?
Far away from the danger, and also against the direction of the wind.
Of the winds, right?
Right. Otherwise, all this poisonous gas, the people will evacuate, and they will think that when we will reach assembly point, we are safe. But in actual, the assembly point has the same direction of wind. So, badin mushkila, right?
Okay.
Sometimes the companies, they used to have a big area for assembly point. If they have one, they mark different department. This is the board for production department, this is the board for warehouse department, another board for purchase marketing department. So everyone will come in his line and they will make the queue. Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
Now fire triangle. What is fire?
Flame.
Flame. What do you call it in Arabic?
Fire, that is the combination of oxygen and heat and fuel.
Very good. Very good.
And there is always the trika for the fire.
Exactly.
If one is missing, there will be no fire.
Exactly.
Yes.
We call it nar.
Nar is the proper word. Sometimes we also call it harik.
Harif.
Hariq, yes.
When I go to what do you call it, Al Tazaj or Al Bek, I'm always
Yes.
confused. Harrag and
Harrag.
Harik.
Spicy.
Yes. So you will get confused. You need Harik or Harrag. So hot and spicy. See, Harik and Harrag.
Yes, yes.
So fire is a basically, as Mr. Naeem said, that it is a combination of three components. But the important thing about these three components, that it is not necessary when these three components will combine together you will get the fire. It mainly depends on the properties of fuel. What is its ignition point, what is its flammable point, right? Depends on this. For example, I give you the simple example. You are working under sunlight. It's like June, July, where the temperature reaches to 48, 49, 50, right? So there is so much heat is there. And since you are working in sunlight, so there is oxygen is there. So what do you think if there is a paper available, right? And you will put it in front of sun, it is going to have fire?
No,
Not necessarily.
No,
Why?
no.
Why?
We need
because
reach to flammable point, يعني, or
Very good. Very good.
yes.
So it depends on the properties of fuel. Oxygen will remain. Mafi mushkil. If small quantity, if large quantity, no problem. If the heat is there, very good. Have you remember that whenever there is a fire in the forest of Australia,
Yes,
why
before
too
a
many
few
days?
months.
Too many days. Yes,
yes,
too many days.
Yes.
It's going on and on and on, because you have forest, woods, too much fuel available, free of cost, right? And air, because it's all open. And once you just ignite the fuel, khalas, it's a chain reaction. Fire, it multiplies itself in 300 times, right? It multiplies
Yes.
itself in 300 times, very fast. uh, there are a lot of videos which you have already, or which you have seen already, and inshallah I will also show you some videos about it. So fire is the tetrahedron, which means that it is a chain reaction. Components are three, but the reaction is a chain reaction. If we are going to take out one component, there will be no fire. Whenever we have to fight the fire, we need to use our common sense. And as I used to say, the common sense is the common sense is
not common.
very good.
Not
The
so
common
common.
sense is not common. So we become too much, under pressure when there is a fire. What to do? Oh, what to do? What to do? So whatever we will find, we will start. I went one of the company, right? Is there anyone Pathan available in our group? I'm,
No,
by
I
the way,
guess.
I'm also Pathan,
Mashallah, mashallah.
right? So by name I'm Pathan, but not with my actions.
In which sense you are asking about Pathan? I think nobody's available.
That's why I'm saying myself is Pathan. So I keep it for myself. Don't worry. Anyone. I went in one of the company, and the same interview I use. This is my favorite part, to have the interviews with the worker, where you will get the real insight about the companies, that how much they are going to implement. So there was one of the Afghani guy. Okay, that he was not Pathan, by the way, he was Afghani. I asked him, what are you going to do in case of fire? He told, sir, ये तो बहुत आसान है, मसले कोई नहीं, क्या करोगे? ये फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर है, ये आग लगेगी, उठा के फेंकेगा फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर, ये जाके फटेगा, आग बुझ जाएगा. So he told me, I asked him what you will do in case of fire. He told me it's very simple thing. I will take the fire extinguisher and throw it on the fire, and this fire extinguisher will get blast. When it is going to be a blast, the fire is going to be extinguished. So at that time I was laughing, I was smiling, but I realized that what he can do, what he can think. In his childhood, when he brought up in Afghanistan, he has seen wars all the time, where the people, they use grenade, just take out the pin and khas put it for the bomb blast. So the problem is, we need to take the action very fast in case of fire. Otherwise, the fire is not going to be extinguished. It will multiply very fast. The main important thing when you need to extinguish the fire, don't try it unless you are not trained. Forget about everything, right? Don't take the risk if you don't know. Don't take the risk if you don't know what kind of fire it is and what kind of extinguisher or the medium I have to use. Don't take the risk if the fire, this is the common saying that when the fire is more than the size of the dustbin and you don't know how to extinguish the fire, then leave it, call emergency team or firefighting team, whoever is available in your home or in your industry.
Sir, I have a
Mashallah,
question.
mashallah, I have seen one thing in here in Kingdom, the defiled money, they used to come very fast. Their lead time is 5 minutes, and most of the time you will find them in less than 5 minutes. Mashallah, which is very, very good thing, which is very encouraging thing for the people. That maybe there are some cases where they will be late, but most of the time, because it is my field, I used to ask the people this kind of thing. So it's a very good thing. Yes, Mudassir.
Sir, can you tell me how does a petrol pump, it's on fire when you are smoking in the car?
Because of the solvent. See, the property of the fuel, or you can say petrol, is it is a volatile compound, right? For example, if there is a water in my glass, so if you will keep petrol in your glass, after some time
It will evaporate, yeah.
Because the property of this petrol is it is very volatile. But on the other hand, the property of diesel is that it is thick, it is not the volatile. It will not be go in air very, very fast like the petrol. So the overall petrol pump is surrounded by the vapors of petrol. When they are putting the fuel in your car, have you seen? You will find bukharat there, too much vapors.
Yes.
So what do you think? These are too much in that area. That's why we can see. But when you go away, still they are available. So if you are going to have a smoke on the petrol pump, and if any of the droplet will come in contact with your ignition, sometimes even if your ignition, if your what do you call it, from where the smoke is coming out, what do you call it?
Exhaust.
No, not exhaust.
Silencer. Exhaust.
Yes, silencer exhaust. Exactly. Sorry. Let me complete. Otherwise, I will forget. In oil and gas sector, where there are refineries, where the cars are allowed, it is a necessary requirement to have your silencer should have the what you call it, smoke is something. There is a terminology called
catalytic converter.
Yes, this is a spark arrestor. Very good. Your cars or vehicles should have a spark arrestor available, right? Because if there is any unburned carbon, it can come in contact with any of the part of in refinery. There is a lot of vapor all the time. That's why even welding is not allowed in the premises of refinery. They will make the welding outside and then they will bring. And if it is very necessary to have any kind of smoke or ignition or hot permit is needed, those who are working in oil and gas, it is a big challenge to get the hot permit in the refineries or at oil and gas sites. Yes, any question?
Yes, yes, sir. Another question, sir. What about using mobile phones on petrol pump? Because I have seen some signage there.
Mobile phone radiation, source of radiation, it produces heat. Those who are producing heat, khalas. Even if you will don't use the mobile phone in your kitchen also, near to the source of ignition, right? So we will be discussing this thing but on a very small level, the hazards of mobile phone, because it is a part of our radiation and non-radiation.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Ibrahim, any question?
Yes, Mr. Anas, I see experiment this in Discovery Channel in a program. They call this program Mythbuster. Yeah. And they make experiment. They put a fuel line in the ground, and we see in the movie some people they flame the fire and like this, and after that this line it's come until explode the car or like this. But يعني this is not يعني correct يعني. And if the يعني oil it's explode in يعني they need to يعني more heat or more fire to explode the fuel.
See, even a small amount of ignition is enough, because depending on the property, again, as I told you, if it is a petrol, if it is a high octane, khalas, no problem. If it is a lighter products, more problem. If it is a lubricant oil, no problem. If it is your cooking oil, no problem, right? But the more it is going to be lighter, the more problematic.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Spirit, ethanol, methanol, spirit, all these are problems.
So يعني if I have gallon with benzene 91 or 95, I throw the cigarette inside this, it's not explode.
Lala, it will explode because it
It
is
will
petrol.
explode.
But if it is diesel, if you are going to put this your cigarette into the diesel can, mafi mushkil. But don't try.
And also the fuel of aircrafts, it's not burned
Exactly, because
by
it is heavy.
emissions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jet craft. Yes,
Uh,
Hussein, please.
I would like to add, if you can see the movie Deepwater Horizon, it was actually about the real life story of the BP oil spill that happened in April, and that fire was for months in the oil rig. It was going off, and it was a safety issue that caused it actually.
Exactly.
Pressurization from the top engineers.
Exactly. There are multiple accidents of fire. I mean, every time you will find. Now, even last month there was an accident of fire in America. So there are some fire accidents and there are some spill accidents. Spill is the emergency for environment. Fire is the emergency for human. Right? Don't mix those together. Okay, guys. Yeah, let's divide into groups. We will be dividing you into 2 groups, or we can divide you into 3 groups even, and then you will be quickly doing the activities. One of the group will be discussing about the classification of fire. The other group will be discussing about the, just a minute, Hussein. The other group will be discussing about the different type of fire extinguishers, and the third group will be discussing about the fire extinguisher inspection requirements, how to do, what you need to check when it comes to the fire extinguisher inspection. You will have 5 minutes. I will divide you into groups first. Yes, Hussein, by the time you can ask your question, please.
Yeah. I don't have any question. I just I lowered the hand.
यार ये क्या बात हुई, आपको ऐसे मैंने पूरी ट्रेनिंग रोक दी.
Sorry. Please continue.
अब क्या मैं भूल गया. Okay, Abdul Jabbar and Engineer Ibrahim, Khwaja Anwaruddin, Musa and Mudassir. Right? You will be in group number 1. So you will be working on classification of fire. A class, B class, C class, D class. Right? This is your activity.
Okay.
And then we have Atif, Marwan, Afaq, and Mr. Rushdie. This Mr. Rushdie, I will keep him in group number 3. And Naeem, I will put in group number 2. Okay, good. So we have in group number 2 Atif, Marwan, Afaq, and Naeem. And group number 3 Dr. Yahya, Hussein Khwaja, Muhammad Rushdi, and Nizam. Right? So group number 2 will be working on different kind of fire extinguishers medium. For example, if you see your book, you have to read from your book, by the way. Okay, go to module number 4, take out types of, this will be for the first group. Can you see the slide? Classification of fire.
Yes,
group number 1.
Yes.
Group number 2, you will be discussing about CO2 fire extinguisher, dry chemical fire extinguisher, and water based fire extinguisher. Only these 3, right? On which fire they are applicable? Dry chemical, CO2, and powder, and water. Group 3 will be discussing that when we are going to perform the inspection of fire extinguisher, what are the things we need to inspect at the time of inspection. Clear?
Clear.
Dr. Maad, Rushdi. Hussein, Nizam.
Yes, I'm
Clear?
with
Yes, it's clear for me. Us.
Yes, 5 minutes only. 5 minutes means 5. Come Sadagai.
Okay, which group? 3, huh?
Now don't ask me. You will
Okay.
see your group. Yes, you are in group number 3. Join your group. हाँ जी निजामुद्दीन किधर गए?
Yes, guys. Group number 1.
Yes, sir.
Let's start.
Yes, there is basically a classification of fire from A.
Please share your screen.
Sir, can you hear me?
Please share your screen.
My screen?
Yes. Otherwise, how do we know?
Yeah, but I can't speak while I'm sharing the screen.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, there is basically a classification from A to F. A deals with mostly like wood, paper, textiles, which we know generally takes fire. We can extinguish it with water, foam sprays, ABC dry powder, like we can use sands, and wet chemical. I don't know about the wet chemical, what is it, but we can use it to extinguish it. B, flammable liquids like petroleum and etc. We can use foam sprays, ABC dry powder.
Right. Continue.
Yeah. Then we have C, flammable gases like natural gas, which is very common in Pakistan. We can use dry powder like sand to extinguish it. Then we have metal, which includes magnesium, titanium, sulfur. We can extinguish it by powder, sand. Cooking oils and fats, which we use normally in our kitchens. We can use it. We can use the wet chemical to extinguish it. Then we have electrical fire, which we can extinguish by carbon dioxide and dry powder.
Very good. Excellent. Yes, guys. Any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Hossein speaking. Do you know about fireball? What class will be the fireballs?
Fireball, most of the time it consists of DCP, dry chemical powder. See, DCP, the next slide, the next group is going to discuss about DCP, right?
Okay.
Then I will give, if they will not be able to discuss, then I will discuss further.
Sure.
Yes, guys. Next group. Do you want to share your screen? You can share.
Go next group.
So who is in the second group?
Mr. HSEQ person, please share your screen to speak.
Okay, let me just share the screen. Mr.
Okay.
Anas, can you please stop sharing if you don't mind?
I will mind, but if you say, then I don't know.
Let me just share the screen, and Mr. Marwan will be representing our group.
Okay, no problem.
There you go.
Okay, so we have determined 5 classification of fire extension. The first one is class A extension, that is used for normal and low level of fire, such as paper, wood, for example. And the second one, class B, we use it to overcome or on liquid flammable material, that's such as grease or gasoline or oil, anything else. And class C, we use to electrical fire. And class D, we use it to any time metal which is combustible. For example, paper, wood, any combustible material. And for class class 1, we use to for the kitchen in the restaurant fire. We have 5 classifications.
For the electrical fire, which is the best fire extinguisher to use?
Powder.
Any other guys?
Class C. Class C.
Which is
carbon
dioxide. For electrical fire, we need to use carbon dioxide. See, always remember now. Very good. You have discussed. Thank you. There are 2-3 things which we need to understand about these classifications. The first thing, which is very important, that class A type of fire extinguisher, which is DCP, it is considered as multi-purpose fire extinguisher. You can use DCP on almost any kind of fire other than the fires which are required in kitchen, right? Then we should use K type.
Okay.
Then we have the class C, which is the CO2 type of the fire, which is electrical fire. For these, we will be using CO2 fire extinguisher. For A class of fire, we will be using the water. Normal water is okay. Even DCP is okay, right? So we need to understand that one of the fire extinguisher can be used for multi-purpose, depending on the property of fuel. Again, right? For example, water can be used on class A fire, but water cannot be used on class C fire or class K fire, right? It will be a problem if you use on electrical fire if you are using the water. So that's why we need to be very careful while we are deciding that which kind of fire extinguisher do we need to use for the extinguishing of fire. Yes, third group.
Okay, I would like to share my screen for that. Our topic is about the inspection of fire extinguishers.
Yes, please.
Right. According to our book, okay, there are some you can say principles and some rules to how we can inspect them. Basically, one of the there should be an annual maintenance record, and even you can say monthly inspection for these fire extinguishers, as these fire extinguishers have a inspection dates, they have even expiry dates. First, I will share to you the picture. What you should check first: the pressure gauge and the pin. These two, I believe, are important to see if the fire extinguisher has been used or not, and it obviously shows if you can if you can use it or not.
Easily. Right.
Okay, so basically visual inspection is the one, mostly it's shared in the standard of OSHA, that employers they should perform a visual
On
inspection.
on monthly basis, we will be doing the
Yes.
visual inspection. But
Yes.
on every 5 years, we need to have the hydro inspection. Hydro test
Ex-
inspection is needed.
yes,
As
and
required by OSHA.
hydrostatic test for powder, and this hydro testing they do for liquid. So for the dry one is about I believe 12 years, according,
No,
yeah,
as
12.
required by OSHA, it's 5 years, I think, for everything.
Okay, okay, I will check this one. But yes, these type of tests should be done for the fire extinguishers.
Right.
Yeah. If anyone from my group would like to add, they are free to share.
What are you going to see during the inspection of fire, apart from pin and nozzle?
We can
There are a number
Uh,
of requirements which are mentioned here.
We can check for
Gauge,
damage.
damage, corrosion, leakage, dents on the cylinder, on the fire extinguisher cylinder, and even check who did the last inspection before, because there usually anywhere you go, there is a card written with the inspection dates, so
Right,
you can see
exactly.
that.
And what does it mean, the fullness confirmed by weighing or lifting and shake 5 times? Why we need to shake 5 times?
As you know, in the cylinders sometimes there's a leakage due to the safety seals are broken, maybe the content has gone out, and the volume has been decreased. Although it will show on the pressure gauge, okay, the pressure is okay, everything's green, and the pin is also there, but it has been leaked due to some seal getting cracked. Because for me it happened in my experience. We bought once, although it's not a fire extinguisher, but it was a oxygen cylinder, and when I was installing that oxygen cylinder, during the leakage test there was a leak on the valve seal. So I immediately took it out and complained it to the air liquid where I got the cylinder from, and they replaced it for me free. So there are some cases like that.
Any other guys? Sorry. Any other guy who will tell me that why we need to shake the 5 times?
Can I add, Mr.
Yes,
Anas?
please.
Yes, especially the dry border. Yani sometimes gets sticks together. So we hold it like we hold a baby, and we try to shake it left and right to see if it's stuck or the border can move inside freely. So that's indicate of the it's in a good use still. We can use it.
Exactly.
And it, Mr. Anas, and it's have expired date, I think.
Yes, there is an expiry date.
See, now I will summarize all of our 5 things. When we are, let's start with the first question which I ask you. You guys are also correct, but the main reason for the shaking is that whenever, and we are going to shake only the fire extinguisher of DCP and water, right? CO2, no need to shake. Why no need to shake? I will tell you second. The first thing which I want to tell you that in DCP fire extinguisher, we have 2 medium. One is the DCP powder itself, and the other, which is uh, potassium sulfate, I think. And the other is the nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas is a lighter. Whenever you have bottle, for example, this is your fire extinguisher. So whenever this water, you can see this water is heavier, it is down. And the gas, the remaining area, if you have gas available, it will be here, right? Similarly, when you have the DCP powder, this DCP powder will be going down with the passage of time, and the gas will be going up with the passage of time. So what happened if you are not going to shake? Then in case when you are going to use it, only the gas will come.
Correct.
Not the powder. But in actual, the function of gas is just to support the powder. It is just to push the powder, because the main thing which is going to extinguish the fire is not the nitrogen, it is your powder. But powder is like lazy like me, so powder will start sleeping downward. It gets stick, it gets downward. So the nitrogen is the one who is going to wake up the powder. So if nitrogen and powder, they are not mixed, they are not in active all the time, then your fire extinguisher will not be working properly, right? This is one thing. Another thing, why we don't have the pressure gauge available on CO2 fire extinguisher? This is my next question to you guys. Anyone? Why we don't have a gauge available on CO2? For the powder, for the water, you will know that this is a from the gauge you will know. But on CO2 gas cylinder, there is no gauge. Can anyone tell me why? Yes, Khoja, respect mankind. Atif.
Yes.
Ushdi.
Because it's a gas in a cylinder. Because CO2 is a gas in a cylinder. So usually they don't. Okay, for in medical gas, they usually don't have any pressure gauges in the 40-liter cylinders. So
when it is a non-medical gas, there will be no pressure gauge in the gas cylinder.
No, if
Why?
there is a gas, there should be a pressure gauge.
Sorry?
I guess if there is a gas, there should be a pressure gauge, because gas has the pressure.
There is no doubt that the gas has the pressure, but let's understand with the chemistry.
The gross weight, it has to do something with the gross weight, I believe.
Can I add something?
Yes, please add something.
I guess because the carbon dioxide, it's in the powder form in the cylinder, not in the gas form. No.
It's form of compressed, which is liquefied.
Liquefied, yes.
Yalla, let's understand and then we will take the break. This is your fire extinguisher, CO2, right? It has all gas. What will happen if this is a 10-liter fire extinguisher and you have 4 liter of gas? Where it is going to be?
All over the cylinder.
In the up, in the top.
And on the down, it will be empty.
No.
Will be distributed.
No, because
very good. It will be distributed. What happened if your fire extinguisher is 10 kilo and gas is 1 kilo? What will happen then? where will be the gas?
All the time it is distributed.
Sorry?
Distributed also.
Again, distributed. What will happen if the gas is half kilo and the gas extinguisher, fire extinguisher is 10 kilo?
Same is the case with
The
the
same.
So if the gas is going to occupy the whole area and there is a fire, there is a pressure gauge available, then it will always give full. How do you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that's why we don't have. Remember your cylinders in your kitchen. They are not going to stop unless even a small gas is remaining. Right?
Yes, methane.
And gas is a lighter medium, so it will always go up.
Yes.
So it will get finished, and then otherwise it will always be showing full. In case of DCP powder, the gauge is not with the nitrogen. The gauge is with the powder. Right? If it is full, then the gauge will show us full. In case of water, the gauge is with the water. Even in water, there are two medium, nitrogen and water, because water cannot go out unless you are not going to push it by any force. So this is the nitrogen again. So that's why in gas fire extinguishers, we don't have the gauge available. Otherwise, even if it is small quantity, if it is full, it will always be going to give you the full indication, and then you will be confused. So that's why we are going to measure the fire extinguisher of CO2 by means of weight rather than by means of pressure.
Gross weight, to be
Yes.
exact. Yeah.
Weight of the cylinder plus weight of the gas.
Correct.
Yes. Any question, Rushdi?
No, I also have question, but the last sentence solves the problem. That because if we overfilled the CO2 inside the cylinder, it will be over pressure also, and it will subject to explosion. But we
Exactly.
can control this by weight. If we control the weight, we can ensure that the pressure will not go high.
Exactly. And the gas which is being used in this is very small quantity, not very large quantity. Right? So it has basically two walls inside. If you see the structure of fire extinguisher, it has something like two walls structures. So anyway, how to use a fire extinguisher? We all know that to use the fire extinguisher, we need to pass. If we don't know pass, then we cannot use the fire extinguisher. Pass is pull the pin out, aim where you have to put the fire extinguisher, medium, and then squeeze, handle, squeeze the handle, and then sweep in left, right direction. So the powder is going to have spread everywhere. Otherwise, your all powder will come at one place, or the gas will come at one place, and you will not be able to remove the fire. So this is one of the requirement to have, right? And whenever we are going to use the fire, we are having the fire drill or fire experiment. Always keep in mind that even after the half an hour of fire you are going to remove, there is still chances of fires are available. So we need to be very careful while we have the firefighting drill, or we have used the fire extinguisher as a part of practice. Clear?
Clear.
Very good. Last topic, then we will take the break. The last topic is about FPP. FPP, when you say FPP, in my old company, there is my colleague Farooq Patel. So I remember him, Farooq Patel, FPP. We used to call him FP. So
Fire prevention plan.
Yes, fire prevention plan, right? Fire prevention plan is the plan. See, we have discussed about fire, we have discussed about emergency situation, but this emergency situation or fire extinguisher, it will come once the fire is going to be started. But what we need to do so the fire is not going to be started, how to avoid the fire? This is the something which will come first, and then using of fire extinguisher, using of emergency drill, this is our corrective action, or this is our doing part. But how to prevent from the fire is our planning part, right? So FPP is our planning part. The OSHA standard require you that you should segregate all the material, combustible and non-combustible. You should have the source of ignition which are causing to fire. We should keep them away from the normal material. we need to have you seen that in the hotels there are corridors, in between there are doors available, compartmentization. There should be a concept of compartmentization when we have the big area, because in case if the fire is in one area, it should not go to the second area. We have seen most of the time that the hazard of fire is not much as compared to hazard of smoke. Many people have died with the smoke of fire extinguisher, of smoke of fire rather than the fire itself, right? So to avoid the spread of fire, we need to have a proper compartmentalization available. Nowadays, there are, it's a mandatory requirement from the fire company. We are having the fire resistant paint, we are having the fire resistant walls, there are insulation available. In many of the hotels, they now avoid to have the duct, one duct for all rooms, because it happened in UAE, the accident that the fire, due to fire, the fire was small, but due to the smoke, many of the HVAC lines which were interconnected each other, they have the smoke in the rooms, and due to which many of the casualties were happening. So they avoid to have too many rooms together with one single pipe. They make again compartmentalization, few rooms with one line. So in case of any fire, everyone is not going to have affected. So maintain good level of housekeeping, otherwise there will be fire. And we will be maintaining our housekeeping by means of our 5S activity. And we need to train our employees that how to act in a safe manner and what to do in case of fire, what will be our actions in case of fire, right? This is our simple fire prevention plan, which is a requirement of OSHA. It must be available. Any question?
No.
Very good. Now check your knowledge. In construction of an exit route, a 5-story building must have the fire resistant capability of how many hours?
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Two
hours.
So which
2
answer
hours.
is correct? A, B, C, D.
And
B.
Very good. Which of the following is the best combination in fire triangle?